Live from the ProCopy studio, in Perth, Western Australia, it's time for this week's Wine and Cheese.
Hey everybody, welcome to another week of Wine and Cheese. How's your week been?
Pretty good, mate. Bit hectic at times.
Yeah,
bit
busy.
crazy. You
Yeah.
know, lots of different things this week.
That's good.
It's been a good week.
Excellent.
And, managed to stay warm on the odd occasion because it's been a bit chilly, hasn't it?
We've had a lot of rain as well.
Bit chilly.
Yeah.
Bit chilly, but that's good. You know, makes you appreciate the sunny days. I say.
Most definitely. Something happened with the
funding.
with the funding that the government promised to the entertainment industry. But just before you get to that, that's a federal thing, isn't it?
It's federal.
What happened to? There was money that was released apparently
76 million
for
for
the
WA.
state.
Yeah.
Which they've decided in their wisdom to fix up venues. Now, to me, that seems a bit stupid because if you haven't got the artists to go in the venues, I mean, that money would have been much better in supporting local acts, local performers.
Long-term plan, obviously, but the problem is we've got a short-term problem, not a long.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a short-term issue, which is employing people. Now, of the 76 million that the McGowan government said is available to culture and arts, 30 million to concert hall fix up, 15 million to his Madge, 6 million to another facility in Yokine. So there's 50 million, 51, 52 million has gone in infrastructure projects. Well, the idea with that is that it's going to create work. They estimate 250 people will be employed in it. Well, we know, as we said before, there's 370 people basically out of work in the events industry in Bayswater alone.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I tell you what, they don't need 51 million to survive. A lot more,
They
a
seem
lot
to
less.
be really out of touch with the whole thing. They just don't seem to get it, do they? And that's what you found with Lisa Baker. That
She
wasn't quite up
asked
to
us
speed.
lots of questions about what was happening and who and why and what and where, and we were able to give her quite a bit of information. I'm still waiting for a reply to my post-meeting report that went back to her that has been passed on to the Small Business Minister. Still haven't had a reply on that yet, but expecting a reply. So as soon as we get something there, we'll let people know.
And what's David Templeman said lately?
Well, he was the one basically behind the 76 million. But like some of the other organisations in town, they're very niche. The whole thing with this infrastructure, the infrastructure projects, you know that they're long term, but we need to be supporting people at this time. If you can't have an international concert in the concert hall right now,
Then why fix it up?
then and the facilities are quite fine. You know, they can operate as venues right now, no problem at all. It's nice to always do something to them, fix them up. His Madge had money spent on it not so long ago.
Right.
So I can't quite see what the priority is there because it's misguided in every sense. It's not enough people in the construction industry compared to, say, the events industry that same 50 million could help. Yes, there's some money gone to some music industry event type of work, but companies like Daryl, as we've said before, his work isn't necessarily the music industry. It's dance schools, school work, shires and government departments that have events and
Music festivals,
workshops and things like that where he provides the stuff and other events outside of that. So there's a heck of a lot of stuff still missed out. So we need to keep going with this and keep alerting more and more people to what exactly is the problem.
So on a federal level?
On the federal level, as we know, back in June, late June, there was 250 million as part of the job maker plan towards the arts industry. Now, we're now 7 weeks down the track from that, and there's no movement. Nobody knows where to look for funding. In fact, the legislation still hasn't been finalised and ratified by Parliament. So they're saying now it could be November before anybody sees any money. I don't know how many companies will survive until November.
They're on the edge now if they haven't already gone
Yeah,
under.
I mean, especially when you hear figures of 2022 before there's international concerts of any nature and things like that. So will these companies with large lease agreements on equipment and things like that survive till then? I doubt it. I really doubt it.
So what was this article?
This was on themusic.com.au again. Essentially, the federal government was slammed by the Shadow Minister for the Arts. Came in and said, look, you know, the Arts Minister Paul Fletcher and Scott Morrison had announced this thing in late June, and it's still delayed. And I mean, it's a bit like the state government one. I went onto the website to see what was available on there, and to be honest, I couldn't find anything. Nothing that affects our business or similar businesses or events businesses like Darrell's and others around town. So I know dance schools, you know, some of them have gone already and unlikely to come back, and a few other places. So let's see what happens with that. Hopefully it doesn't take till November to get this through, because
That's
or
crazy.
maybe they're just waiting.
They signed off on it, and then
I think there's
nobody's
a lot
done
of
anything to distribute it.
Yeah, there's a lot of processes involved. You know, they make an announcement before they've actually done all the paperwork, and it takes sittings of Parliament and all this kind of stuff to be able to go through all of this and be able to sign off on it.
Didn't they already do that though?
No,
to
no,
say,
they've
well,
made
here's
an announcement.
The money.
They made an announcement about what they want to do.
Doesn't that article though say that they've approved that money, but then nobody's written checks?
They've approved the money, but
there?
there's no process in place. You've got to go through a formal process to apply for the money. Well, where do you apply? You know, it's the whole. You know, it's like saying, "Come and knock on the door, and I'll give you some money," but they don't tell you where the money is. You know, it's
crazy.
It's a bit sad, really.
Yet again, another delay.
So let's hope that in the not too distant future that we do get some announcements as to where some funding is available to help this industry that seems to be in dire trouble at the moment.
Big time.
Honey, I'll bet you can't tell me something that would make me happy and sad at the same time.
What?
I'll bet you can't tell me something that would make me happy and sad at the same time.
You have the biggest penis out of all of your friends.
Oh, that was a good one. So Phil, you know, I always keep a look on Facebook from time to time and bits and pieces like that. Social media has been going a bit nuts today. Mainly our radio stations seem to be bombarded by people that are not too happy. Any idea why?
Well, there's this cane toad from Queensland called Clive Palmer. For those of you who don't know, who aren't in Australia, he's a billionaire mining magnate, but he never plays by the rules and nobody likes him, and he's a bit of a buffoon, and he has attempted to sue the West Australian government for $30 billion, which, like, we don't have that sort of money sitting around, and that would bankrupt our state and schools, hospitals, all of that, you know. And he's acting like a bit of a petulant child, to be honest. So our Premier, Mark McGowan, really good man, the way he's handled the whole virus thing and everything. 4 o'clock today, issued this statement, and what happened was they rushed legislation through Parliament, through the lower house of Assembly day before yesterday, Then they gave it to the upper house yesterday, and it passed through last night and then was rushed to the governor, Kim Beazley, to sign off on,
Right.
and it became law. And Clive Palmer has been on the radio all day because he's got money and can afford to do this. And he's top and tailing every ad break on almost every radio station with just his rhetoric of crap. And basically, Mark McGowan, our Premier, has issued this statement that'll clear up a few things. So he says, if you've turned a radio on or opened the paper this morning, you're probably already caught Mr. Palmer's ads. I want to take the moment here to clear up the facts about what the laws we have just passed mean. I'll be extremely clear. These laws are not about stopping him from proceeding with a project. The iron ore at Balmoral South is still there. Mr. Palmer still has his right to make a proposal to dig it up or to sell the right to someone else. And he was planning to sell this to a Chinese company, right? So he was wanting to send all the money offshore. The laws we passed last night do not change that. The laws also don't stop Mr. Palmer from collecting, as he has said publicly, over $1 million per day in royalties from other projects in Western Australia. They are about protecting West Australia from him potentially claiming around $30 billion from us because he chose not to proceed with the project because of the conditions he was required to operate under. All mining projects in Western Australia have conditions that they are required to operate under, and these conditions are fundamental to the operation of our mining industry. The only difference here is that Mr. Palmer decided that adhering to these conditions was too hard and that he wouldn't proceed with the project. So instead of choosing to make his profits by establishing a potentially job-creating project at Balmoral South, as is his right, he decided to just make his profits by taking $12,000 from every man, woman and child in Western Australia. No one's ever attempted to do this before. It would be unthinkable to allow a precedent that anyone could bankrupt a state just because they weren't happy with conditions set by the state government. Allowing Mr. Palmer's claim to proceed was too dangerous for our state. It would destroy our state's finances, so we put a stop to it. My conscience is clear. I know we have done the right thing. And he
Sounds
has
pretty
been
sensible.
advertising all day that Mark McGowan should be in jail, and it's all crap, and it's like, how do you stop people like this?
Well, Phil, the only thing I can say is that he's paid the wages of a few radio station staff over the last couple of days or so. I think that's a bloody good thing. I don't think it's altered the perception of the WA people against him one iota. So everybody in WA, take the money and run. Golden opportunity. George, who was on a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, mate, George.
He's got something to say, hasn't he?
He has. Over to you, George.
The real you is a star. And not just because we were made from the dust of stars, because that's a reality. But because if you think about the elements of a star, it emanates light. And you are designed to light what you decide is important into the moment, into your environment. So when you look at the design of you, you will realize that you have this ability to give such extreme value, it will light up the room. Why is it some people walk in a room and everybody pays attention to them? It's because they are so connected to their star quality that they accept it and they know it's a value, so they no longer second guess themselves, and therefore they give themselves the luxury to walk around fully connected to everyone with an absolute dedication to where their brightness can be of value. Find that in you, because it's there. You're not here to be a black hole. You're not here to suck the light out of everything in in your environment. But ironically, when we lose our way, we invert our identity into that black hole where nothing is enough anymore. Even if people give you praise and compliments, you don't know how to feel it anymore because you're a black hole. These compliments are like throwing a coin in off a cliff. You don't hear it land anymore. Imagine how sad it is when we have an insatiable desire to feel like we're worthy, but no brightness of praise, no compliments, no achievements seem to fill that hole. So honor yourself. Start to notice the good things that you have been achieving, that you have been gifting people with your sincerity. Start to feel it because it's real. And if you feel it and acknowledge it, then that light in you will burn. And from that, it will start to shine out of you effortlessly because you're no longer distracted, too busy beating yourself up, feeling like you don't have a light when actually you are the light. Thank you.
Okay, gig guide for this week. Jaime Page, Donna Greene, Dark Universe, absolutely awesome. Love these ladies. Amazing rock chicks. They have got a show on Breaking the Chains Dark Universe with Black Steel and Triple Engine at the Civic Hotel, 22nd of August, 8:30 p.m. If you want to see an absolutely amazing show, I mean, I've been saying for ages to Jaime that she's got to make all of this into a rock opera. You know, it's just, if you bolted it all together as a story, it would just be amazing. If you haven't seen our interview on the profile that Gaz did with Jaime, check that out because quite an amazing person.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and who else?
Another one on the 22nd of August next week. So there's a couple of gigs on, isn't there?
It's great to see it coming back, isn't it?
Darren Reed's fundraiser.
And these places are limited, obviously, that you can't have 1 million people in.
It's one of the problems at the moment is the fact that people are selling out shows, but they're selling out more tickets than they can accommodate in
because
the venues.
they weren't sure of what the restrictions
Bit of a problem. So the Sterling Arms in Guildford.
Really
Dave Hole.
Pub. Oh, great.
Dave, good to see you playing again.
Yeah.
Dave doesn't play very often, a couple of times a year maybe, goes a period of time without playing and stuff.
He's quite amazing, isn't he, Dave?
World class, goes without saying. So, yep, when is it? 10 till 11?
10 to 11?
10 till 11.
That can't be right.
I'm going off the ad here.
That can't be right.
Maybe 8 till 11.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't read the 24 hours.
Do you want to borrow my glasses?
Yeah, thanks, man. Only if they're full of white wine. Yeah, so a Star Special Events show with Dave Hole at the Sterling Arms.
Fantastic.
Look out for that, folks. If you like blues, if you like rock, or if you like the 80s, 90s pub band type stuff, there's something for you on the 22nd of August.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Great.
Thomas, what are you doing? Thomas! Hey, buddy, what are you doing? Oh my God.
We came across a video the other day that might help people understand what wearing masks can do. Came out of a TV program in the US, and it's a practical demonstration as to what happens when you wear a mask and what doesn't. So if people really wonder whether or not they can help, take a look at this.
From blue polos to blue lab coats and gloves. We headed down to Sacred Heart's laboratory to unmask a common question. What exactly does a mask do? So we teamed up with the hospital's microbiology director, Dr. Rich Davis.
This one will be no mask.
It's a demonstration of where respiratory droplets go and how easy they are to transmit and how a mask is effective at blocking those. That's really the key takeaway.
Here's how this demonstration worked. I had a petri dish in front of my face as if it's another person's face. Then, with and without a mask, I talked.
Hey, how you doing?
Sang.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me.
Coughed. And sneezed. We also tried coughing with and without a mask from 2 feet away, 4 feet away, and 6 feet away. Dr. Davis put the dishes in an incubator, and we waited 24 hours for our results.
So these are the plates that you were interacting with yesterday, with or without a mask.
Let's start with the face-to-face demonstration. Mask on the left, no mask on the right. Let's go with talking first.
With a mask? Oh, that looks good. Talking without a... Oh, okay. I'm actually shocked there's any at all. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Next up, singing.
This was Changes by Tupac, and this was Smash Mouth. Things will never be the same, never be the same, yeah.
Pretty similar to talking. But Dr. Davis brought up a good point about one of nightlife's most popular activities.
Like karaoke night, when that microphone after the night, I'm sure it's pretty gross and wet. So now we've got coughing. So this was just two coughs.
Really? That's crazy.
Remember, all those yellow dots, that's where bacteria grew after the droplets out of my mouth landed there. But those droplets were nothing compared to the ones from sneezing. First, mask on.
What? Okay, I'm terrified to look at this one. This is no mask. Ooh! Oh, good Lord.
When I had my mask on, no yellow dots. But when I didn't, there was always something.
What this kind of goes to show is that most of those, heavy, fat droplets that are going to come out of your mouth, that are going to have bacteria, they're going to have viruses potentially, they're going to get caught and not go forward into, the space in front of you.
It was the same case for the social distancing demonstration.
So yesterday I was standing right here.
No mask, with a mask. 4 feet, you can see it's less, but still pretty prevalent. 6 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just one or two few up there. So there really is that distance difference where the droplets that you're producing by coughing are pretty much, a lot of them are falling out of the air. To me, I think we're coming into a new reality where masks fit into that very social conscious paradigm. You do simple things that everyone can do. It's not going to be 100% effective, but if we all do it, it's going to definitely make a difference in preventing things from spreading one person to another.
Starting this week on our humble little show, we are very honoured to have a good mate of ours, Jason Jordan, join us. He's going to be doing a segment for us each week. Bit of a rave, bit of a rant about topical things, things of interest. He's a really clever guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're really, really lucky to have him on board because our show's not sort of the level he's used to of doing the Sunrise show and, the big commercial television stuff.
And the radio.
And the
radio. And the act, belong, commit.
Presenting, all of that.
He does.
Great guy. Does a lot to campaign for medical marijuana in this country as well, which is a really good thing. It's something our government needs to grow up about and allow to happen properly. But anyway, so here we are at week 1 for Jason Jordan. Take it away, Jason.
It takes a crisis to make people realise that we're all in this together. It exposes the revolting reality of the fuck you, I've got mine culture that celebrates selfishness and greed and ignorance over community, culture and science. A crisis like this demonstrates how rampant capitalism and free enterprise can only survive with a hidden foundation of socialism. Dirty word. We privatise the profits and we socialise the losses. Our governments give taxpayer dollars to failing corporates with absolutely no strings attached, which benefits shareholders, not employees. We look at the way that America's inhumane medical system has resulted in the largest explosion of infections because people simply can't afford to get the medical attention that they need. It takes a crisis to make people realise that some things need to be a shared burden. It takes a crisis to make people realise that some things just need to stop. Profit at the expense of humanity has got to stop. Obscene wealth accumulation at the expense of 80% of the world's population has to stop. Corporate welfare must stop. This crisis gives us a moment. It gives us pause for some retrospection. Is what we've been doing right? Is it humane? Is it fair to all? Does it allow for equity and justice? Is it sustainable? Does it benefit everyone? After all, we're all in this together. What a lesson we're learning. It doesn't matter how rich you are, or how well known you are, or how good you've been, or how bad you've been. What we have now is an example of real equality. We are all equally affected by this. Now look, socialism is a dirty word, and there's good reason for that. But many of its tenets really are worth exploring, so let's extract the good ones, call it political humanism, and get on with making a fairer, nicer, more empathetic, understanding and science-focused world with an economy that prioritises people, health and happiness over wealth accumulation and corporate rights. Businesses aren't humans. Humans are humans. Now, if you want to work together and drop the political differences, I'm afraid you're going to have to walk towards the left. The right has proven that its politics are unsustainable and have a disregard for humanity. It's put wealth ahead of health, and it's put self ahead of society. Now, don't get me wrong, achievement is not a bad thing. Striving is a good thing. But the goals can't be to the detriment of the rest of us. We're all in this together. It's time to move forward.
He's got a really good point there with this virus that, you know, it doesn't discriminate whether you're rich or poor.
No, everybody's
we're
equal.
all in the same boat, and
Yeah.
we're equal.
Yeah.
Okay, we've just had some news come to hand, hot off the press, Mark.
Yeah, so we've got an update on the funding arrangements and stuff like that. So there's the $75 million RISE fund, Phil, and there's a $20 million Live Music Australia program being announced this week. And you can get details of that on themusicnetwork.com. Essentially what it is there's $75 million that is going towards investment in creating new programs, shows, etc. So that's going to help arts organisations, companies and promoters to fund new events, activities and productions.
Do you think because of the backlash from it all that they've realised, oops, we've put it in the wrong basket?
I think they've actually had to come up and clarify what's become available. So it's part of the $250 million Job Maker program, but I think it's been clarified more. I think you're right there. So the guidelines for the RISE fund have been released with the aim to reactivate the industry after the effects of COVID. Now, the other part of it that is really important is that the live music sector There's 5 million a year for the next 4 years. Hopefully that grows a little bit. That's, compared to the AFL and, the cricket and the rugby and stuff like that, 5 million.
Which is much more important than the entertainment industry. I mean, nobody listens to music or watches films.
Nobody
or
wants to go and see
plays
a show
or anything.
But this program will help the live music scene adapt to the changing environment, and gee, aren't we all aware of that? So that's going to support venues to host gigs, performances, tours of local talent, and things like that. So those were some of the things actually we brought up in the meeting with the minister a couple of weeks ago, is about the fact of how about you find a way to fund some venues in an roundabout way so that they can now afford to put gigs in. So that's fantastic. 5 million is going to be really helpful. So everybody, if you want to find out some details about that, go to themusicnetwork.com. They have some links on their pages. It's under arts.gov.au, I think. Good luck finding it on those pages, but there's only a few billion. But hopefully that's going to help people moving forward and get in there soon, because the summer season's coming up and you want to get some of these gigs happening. We all want to go see them. So good luck with that, folks.
Guys, thanks for joining us again for another week. I hope you've had a bit of a laugh, and we hope to see you again next week.
And that's it. And to take us out at the end of this show, Jaime and Donna and the guys of Dark Universe, here's a bit of a live track. So something that you might see on the 22nd at the Civic.
Get down there.
See
Thanks,
you, folks.
guys. See ya.
Prisoners of war and pain, we wait to be set free. Do you need me now? Like I need you now. Shine your light. Shine your light over me. Los Angeles, we live on the inner. Los Angeles, we walk with the wild ones. Los Angeles, we live on forever. Los Angeles, we rock with the wild ones. The time of crossing over, light resurrection's flame. A universe of wonder, to be free of your sorrow and pain. Do you need me now? Like I need you now. Lost